We have breaking news now just outside of Dallas, Texas. You're taking a live look at a massive warehouse fire. It's been burning for a few hours now, and as you can see, the flames reaching high into the sky. Reporters on the scene covering this as well. Let's go to some video from earlier that we were following. This is a fire that is burning right now in Grand Prairie, Texas. The fire is out of control from what we can see, but it looks like it is contained just to that area. This is at Poly America factory. We are told that it produces trash bags, plastic sheeting, and several recyclables. Now here's another angle of that fire, and you can see just how much smoke is bellowing up into the air. No word on any injuries or what caused the fire, but we will continue to follow this story all morning long.
He is a reality show star from Welcome to Sweetie Pies that aired on the Oprah Winfrey Network, and James Tim Norman is from right here in St. Louis, where the restaurant is based. But he is now back in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. Our Ryan Henson is live at the Sweetie Pies on Del Mar to explain what we're learning about Norman's role and what police are saying was a murder for hire plot against his own nephew. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning, Allie, and police are saying, well, it was all about the money, and that, in fact, Norman, 2 years before the eventual murder of his nephew, took out a life insurance policy on him for $450,000, and Norman was the sole beneficiary of it. So here's where police say it all started. Now, that policy was taken out in 2014, and as it was well documented in the show, Norman's nephew, Andre Montgomery, relocated to St. Louis to get a fresh start on life. Investigators say at the time his uncle, Norman, was in contact with a dancer from Memphis, Terica Ellis. The two bought burner phones to stay in touch on the day. And then on the night of March 14th, back in 2016, Andre walked outside of a house he was in at the time to take a call, and that's when he was shot and killed. Evidence puts Ellis at the scene of the murder and also deposited nearly 10 grand into her bank account just a few days after the incident. Over the next week, the uncle, Tim Norman, tried and failed several times to collect on his nephew's life insurance policy. On the show, owner Robbie Montgomery talks about the tragic loss.
I really miss my grandson, but now we have to focus on finding the guy that killed Andre.
You get tired, don't y'all get tired?
We are killing each other, and we need to stop. We need to start loving and stop killing.
Now, ironically, Norman, even on the show, spoke highly of his nephew at the time it was recorded. And this whole investigation was a part of Operation Legend. That's federal investigators here in St. Louis cracking down on violent crime. And U.S. Attorney William Barr will be in Kansas City later today. He'll be making an announcement about Operation Legend overall. I'm Ryan Henson reporting live from St. Louis. I'll send it back to you for now.
All right, thank you, Ryan. One of our nation's top experts on the coronavirus pandemic is encouraging the people of Missouri to wear a mask, but she does not recommend a statewide mandate.
We need every American and everybody in Missouri to be wearing a mask and socially distancing.
Dr. Deborah Birx visited Jefferson City yesterday to offer advice on how to prevent the spread of the virus. She says you should avoid large gatherings at home, even if they're outside. She met with Governor Mike Parson and state health leaders on Tuesday. When it comes to a statewide mask mandate, the governor says the counties with the biggest case numbers already have mandates in place. Now here's a closer look at the COVID numbers. There were fewer than 800 new cases reported in Missouri on Tuesday, but when you track the 7-day running average with the dots on the screen right there, cases continue to be on an upward swing. The state's positivity rate is also up to 8% now. Now here in the St. Louis metro area, this includes Missouri and Illinois counties, new cases are down 20%. It's the 4th day in a row that we have seen this, but the 7-day running average is up, mainly driven by cases in St. Charles and in Madison counties.
Topping your morning rush, a St. Louis school named after a Confederate Army lieutenant is getting a new name. Kennard Classical Junior Academy, named after Samuel Kennard, changed its name to Classical Junior Academy. Kennard served as an aide to Nathan Bedford Forrest, who later became the first Grand Wizard of the KKK. Kennard was also one of the directors for the St. Louis World's Fair and was a trustee with Barnes Hospital.
I'm Brendan Morano in Clayton, where County Executive Sam Page has fired his Director of Diversity and Inclusion. Her name's Hazel Irby. She was a longtime county councilwoman, but she resigned last year to go work for Sam Page in his office. On her Twitter account, she said Page told her that he didn't need her on his staff anymore. She also added that blacks are not welcome in county government, especially black women. We did reach out to Sam Page's office for comment about her firing. They declined, but they did tell us they're expected to announce a replacement for Irby today.
The Blues are back on the ice tonight in the NHL bubble. It is Game 5 of their first-round playoff series against the Canucks. The Blues won the last 2 games, so let's hope they can keep that streak alive. Unfortunately, they will be without their star player, Vladimir Tarasenko. He's coming back to St. Louis to get his shoulder evaluated. Tonight's game starts at 9:30.
I'm Jenna Barnes at St. Louis University, where 22 students tested positive for the coronavirus during move-in last week. The school's president announced this yesterday and said it's actually good news. They thought that number would be higher. That's because the school required the 3,500 or so kids who live in dorms here to be tested before they moved into their rooms. 22 were positive, and that is 0.63%, lower than the school anticipated. Students who live off campus have optional testing available through today.
Big news developing with the post office. The Postmaster General has suspended all changes that were made to the Postal Service. It's in an effort to avoid the appearance of any impact on the election mail. The USPS will delay any policy or operational changes until after the November presidential elections. And with so much controversy around the post office right now regarding mail-in ballots and disappearing collection boxes, we wondered, when did those blue boxes start to disappear and why?
In order to understand the fate of some of these mailboxes on corners and in neighborhoods across the country, let's go back in time to when the very first collection box was introduced. It was cast iron, put on light posts on the streets of Boston, Philadelphia, and New York City back in the 1850s. Over the years, the size, shape, and colors changed. There were small ones meant just for letters, and big ones meant to hold packages. The number of these collection boxes grew. According to USPS, at their peak in 2000, there were 365,000 across the U.S. As time went on, that number went down significantly, to less than half of that in 2015, to just under 154,000 boxes. So why are these boxes getting removed? In 1974, new postal guidelines said boxes that averaged less than 25 pieces of mail a day should be considered for removal to save on fuel and labor. So these blue boxes weren't always blue, but they've been disappearing for decades. However, the number of boxes seen hauled away in recent weeks has drawn criticism and skepticism. So USPS has decided to freeze the removal until after the election in November.